are here is because... Why are there only 34 people here? Usually we get like 100. This is peculiar. Someone tweeted at me or DM'd me or something. Apparently, two people share a birthday today, and they were like, you should do a live on this day because it's my birthday and also this other person's day of birth. So that's why we're here, and we'll go for an hour, and that'll be it. So here's the obligatory. That's not it. Okay, that was really gay. Not my dancing and my lip syncing, but really just this version of the song. Yeah, so happy birthday to those people. And then I guess we can now that we have that out of the way, we've established our reason for being here, our raison d'etre, so now we can move into the talking about politics and then it devolving into whatever it devolves into inexorably, right? So here we are. Now I will. Yo, Donnie's in chat. Okay, now I'm not as upset because Donnie's in chat, obviously. What's the new video? Well, you'll have to see. You'll have to see, won't you? I just signed the petition on the meme account to take down Pornhub. Very epic. We just started. Maddie B in chat, of course. Obviously, big fan, Maddie B. Yes, I'm very tired, and it is all tiresome, but independently of that, I am tired. Yeah, happy birthday to those people, of course. Yep, okay. A hint, it's gonna make fun of CNN, and I think that's gonna be funny and epic. So, yep, alright. You guys are going to have to... We only have like 45 people. This is so weird. I wonder if... Everyone's in quarantine. I don't know if this is Instagram like being mad at me or whatever. But even earlier today, like 1 p.m., we had like 100 people. Yeah, you guys are going to have to keep the chat active because otherwise I'm just going to be here and be tired. Because it is also tiresome. So we've got that going for us. What's this say? Hold on. There's a thing. What happened with that shrimp cult thing? I believe it is still active, the shrimp cult. I know. Only got like 50 people here, if that. That's weird. For Friday night? We announced this. We even announced this one. I've done ones just out of the blue, and we've got like 100 immediately. John, what's up with the TikTok account? You've only posted once. Okay, relax. There will be more content. Don't even worry about it. Shrimp chat present. Yeah, of course. Always present. Are we going to see John Doyle point out how crappy the media has been during the pandemic? In a way, you are. People that are members over at heckoffcomedy.com will have access to that video a few hours before it is posted for the public to see. Which is going to be cool because I really do think that when the public sees it, it's going to do very well. So that's all I'll say about that. I didn't get the notification earlier today. Oh, nice Instagram. Yeah, I do have a TikTok. I can explain the strategy behind it if you'd like, but I don't really take it seriously. The idea was basically that I could like gain influence on TikTok and then forward that over to YouTube. And that worked really well in the abstract. It worked really well in theory because I'd never actually been on TikTok. And then I went on TikTok and I realized that it's all thoughts and all degenerates. And of those, there is a small political TikTok community, but all of those people are basically mentally handicapped. So like there are a few of them that are okay and that are fans of mine. They've reached out to me, but yeah, I don't really know if that's who I'm trying to put time into, So I don't know. I've got a couple ideas in my notes that I thought would be funny, so I'll probably still do that. But wait a minute, there's an Eastern European girl in this chat. She's probably Orthodox. Epic. Grow a beard. I can't. I'm gonna shave tomorrow morning before we film this. We film this video. When's your OnlyFans dropping? My OnlyFans is at heckoffcommie.com. I just put up an exclusive video today. When's the video about the big picture coming? I have no idea. Maybe over the summer. Problem is, it's like, to do something like that just takes so much time, and it's hard to schedule with like the normal flow of content, especially because I already have so many things like kind of queued up. Remember, the first time I mentioned the porn video, which came out in November, was like 8 months prior. So it's not necessarily a slow process. And I guess, it's not an inefficient process, but it's a slow process. There's a lot of things that have to kind of fall into place before we can get into things like that. Let's talk about the end of World War II. Which theater? John won't grow a beard because he's on hormone blockers. I don't think that's why. Very virgin clean-faced Doyle versus Chad beard Doyle. I don't know if this is Chad. This is like quarantined, half depressed, semi-black pilled. This, that's about where we're at right now. Yo, John, are you chilling right now? Yeah, it's a vibe. As soon as I get paid, I'm joining the Heck Off Commie team. Wow, Matthew, kind of a king, I suppose. John, I'm watching you on 2 screens right now. Epic. Were you just kidding about the Jim and Pam video? Are you actually going to make it? I totally could make that video. That's another thing that would be more in like a video essay format that would take a little bit longer to make. But no, I think that's actually, like, I've unironically had that opinion for a while, and I think that was the first time I had mentioned it to you guys. So I would be interested in exploring that a little bit more. Because, like, I have the opinion, but I'm sure that if I actually went back and watched some episodes, I could substantiate it fairly well and make it into a video. So, what do you think about what's been happening with Jordan Peterson? I think it's very sad. I don't know. I think that regardless of what you think about his politics, he's been sort of embraced by the right wing just because he came out and said that free speech is good. But, you know, he's not fundamentally like a right-wing person. I think he's more of like a classical liberal. But, you know, his mission was to forward his agenda. Well, I wouldn't say agenda, his ideas and his cause. And so he sort of allowed himself to become this sort of quasi-right-wing intellectual, which I don't think was a mistake on his part. But I think that people on the right sort of expected him to always fulfill that position. Like, he came out, for example, and said that Kavanaugh should step down if he's confirmed back in, like, fall of 2018, things like that, and everyone got really mad at him. People get really mad about his views on religion and things like that, and it's like, you know, that aside, if you, like, just the sheer amount of people that he's helped, like, I don't understand how anyone could be mad at that guy. Like, I feel like any criticism you have of him is just nulled because of all the good that he has done in helping particularly young men get their lives together, to sort themselves out and clean up their rooms. So, I think it's very sad. And if he doesn't ever return to public life, I understand. I'd be a little disappointed, but honestly, I just kind of want whatever is best for that guy. He's earned it, in my opinion. So, Hawk 2020, very true. We need a video on Flynn. I don't know if we'll get around to it, but we might. You ever gonna do some Yang content about AI and automation? Maybe in like 2024 if I'm still doing stuff. Classical liberalism is left wing. Yeah, but you can still be like a right wing liberal, and like it's complicated. Like, if you really want to get into like the geography of the political compass, like, right wing liberals do exist, but like, you're right that classical liberalism is like typically like a left-wing thing, but like, there are right-wing liberals, which I know sounds kind of stupid, but like, it's a thing. You need a haircut, or I need a haircut. Wait a minute. You said that you need a haircut. True. I don't know. Maybe. Jordan Peterson is addicted to painkillers. Yeah, they prescribed him this extremely addictive painkiller, and then the withdrawals were just hell. So he had to go into, I believe, a medically induced coma, which is very sad. So, we need to know Macon's opinion. I don't know what that means. How's your running for office going? Any updates? No, no, that's 6 years down the road. I mean, I have my general platform outline, and a sort of idea of what I'm going to do, the people that I'm going to involve in my campaign. But again, that's like so far down the road. There's a lot that still has to happen, but it's always kind of in the back of my mind. Yo, what's up? Thoughts of joining the military out of high school. Wait, hold on. That's not where I was. Oh, yeah, it was. I mean, I think it's a noble thing to do. I wouldn't do it like when I graduated high school because I didn't think that I was really needed. But like if right now we went to war with China, I would enlist. But I just don't really think that that's like where the country needs me to be right now. So, but for you, like I think that that's a very noble thing to do. So, mad respect. If you think of the United Kingdom as a precursor to the USA, could the USA be a precursor to something else? That's a weird question. Like to like what, America too? Because the United Kingdom, I feel like the United States of America is like the logical conclusion of like just improvement. Because even if you look at where we are geographically, from like a strategic standpoint, our country is basically invincible. There is no place where someone could like, I know that like there's the Red Dawn scenario, but from a militaristic standpoint, there's really no place that the United States could actually like be invaded. Because, you know, the most simple part would be that we are guarded on our eastern and western fronts by the two biggest oceans in the world, or two of the biggest, I don't know if that's exactly correct, but two of the biggest oceans in the world. And then Canada is our friend, but even if like they were paid off by an enemy to have an invasion from the north, like we would just nuke the hell out of them. Or even from the south with Mexico, the same thing would basically be the case since we have a lot of Air Force bases and naval bases close by. It's just like that in itself is just such a substantial advantage to have. But as far as like, is this shirt on inside out? This shirt's on inside out. That's so epic. But even as far as that, because I feel like one of the building blocks of like a country or a nation is its ability to preserve itself from its enemies or from combatants or people that want the land upon which it is built. And that was sort of the case with the UK. Like, you know, we came to the new world and then we built this country and then we took part of it from Mexico, we bought part of it from France, etc. So as far as like geographically, I don't know. I think that an argument could be made that Mexico has been making moves for the last few decades to sort of reclaim the southwestern part of the country, which of course we took from them back in the day. But I don't know, a precursor to something else. If you look at the approval ratings for secession, it's actually much more popular than you would imagine. And I think that sort of begs the greater question of like, what is the point of having a country or having a nation? And a lot of times conservatives like to talk about the American people, and I do this all the time, so I know that, you know, it's not really, okay, let me just talk. Talk about the American people, or talk about, you know, one nation under God, we're this country, but it's like, I'm all for that in the sense that I would love to have that sort of camaraderie, but it has to be reciprocated. What's the point of having a country if you don't have a shared culture, or you don't have a shared religion, or a shared language, or a shared sense of brotherhood? Like where we're heading right now, where the people on the left don't want anything to do with us, and they would throw us in jail for speaking our mind about things. And so right now, the conservative response to that is, wow, look how crazy the left is. They don't even want us to talk. And it's like, okay, but the bigger picture is, why do you want to talk to them? If they want to put you in jail for speaking your opinions, and they want nothing to do with you, they don't even want to be your friend anymore if you simply have a MAGA hat, it's like, you're simping. You're simping. You are going after them with no reciprocity and expecting nothing from them. You just want to point the finger and be like, look how immature you're being. It's like they don't want to be in a country with you anymore. So there's that aspect of it. And they're also advocating simultaneously for basically us to be, I don't know if this is a word, but to be acultural, to have no culture, to have no language, to have nothing, to basically literally, as they've said, be this melting pot where everything can just come together into this thing. But as we found out, that's not exactly how that works. You can't have a country if you don't have some shared thing under which to unify. And so that's one of the inherent contradictions of leftism. which we're going to have to deal with and work from. So, yeah, I would not be surprised at all if 100 years from now America does not look the same geographically regarding borders and territories and whatnot, because in any system that you have, when a significant proportion of that system doesn't feel as though its goals can be fairly achieved, they're gonna opt to exit that system. That's what happened in the Civil War. They talk about the Civil War like, oh, it was a war about slavery. That's not true. I understand that the role that slavery played in the war, but if the South had won the war, the North would not have been forced into slavery. If it were about slavery, that's how that would have worked. But it was a war of secession, fundamentally, because of the structure of the Southern economy. The point being, the way that everything was... Sorry, I just got a text. The way that everything was structured and the moves that the North had made to take power away from the South, legislatively speaking, it got to a point where the South no longer felt that its interests could be fulfilled. So they opted to secede. And then Lincoln, this is questionable, prevented them from doing that to preserve the Union. The point being that if a significant proportion of the population, being conservatives, no longer feels as though their interests can be represented, be it through the left indoctrinating the country in their media and in the universities, and they're stripping away the Electoral College in favor of a popular vote, things like that, just to gain power, importing voters from third world countries, things like that, these collectivist cultures that overwhelmingly vote for their parties and their interests. It's going to get to a point where, okay, well, it's very shameful. It's really a shame what's happened to our country, but I still have a family. I still have a life. I still have things I need to do. So, yeah, what's the point of having a country at that point? What, are you going to force me to stay there? You're going to force me to live in this leftist dystopia that you've created? No. I'm taking me, and I'm taking my family, and I'm taking my guns, and if you want to stop me, I'm going to put a bullet in your head. In Minecraft, It's like, what's the point of having a country at that point with those types of people? But that being said, we're going to turn it around, so we don't even have to worry about that. Don't even have to prophesize about some sort of boogaloo scenario. Don't even worry about it. This is all completely in the abstract. We're going to figure it out. Thoughts on raising the voting age back to 21? I like that. I think it should be 26, but maybe I'd compromise at 21. Thoughts on the criminalization of people who breathe out of their mouth? Yeah, I'm completely for it. John Doyle said he has mad respect for me. Wow, my day is better. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad that your day is better. If I can make one person's day better, that's enough for me. My day has been subpar, so. When can we have USA Part 2? Yeah, hold on, I have to catch up with the chat now. Whose birthday is it? The people. The people, yeah. Yes. Okay, yep, we're all talking about the Boogaloo now. Very epic. What's your opinion on the Amazing Lucas? I don't know who that is. Do you play any instruments? Yeah, I play drums, cello, ukulele, and guitar and bass in order of how good I am at them. Feelings on the Confederate flag. I don't really have a strong opinion on it other than I think it should be displayed, just purely because, it's speech. So, at this point, we should just nuke China. They caused us enough problems in the last decade. Disagree. I don't think you can just do that. I'm gonna put a bullet in your head in Minecraft. Very true. I'm gonna download the weapons mods in Minecraft. If NATO goes to war with China, would Russia and Iran get involved? That's a good question. I don't know. I don't really know a whole lot about foreign policy. I've been meaning to learn more about foreign policy because it's important. And I have a few books on particularly the China issue that I've been reading recently. But I don't know. I don't know if Russia would want to get involved with that. I would imagine that they would, because a war of that magnitude sort of requires everyone to take some form of stance, even if that stance be neutral. And if they were going to take a stance, I can't imagine that it would be with NATO. So perhaps that would be the World War III. If that happens, I just hope that it's like iconic as World War II. I want the uniforms, the propaganda, the weaponry. I want it all. I think the age should be 18, but you have to pass a test on what you're voting for. The problem with that is that no one in our generation, no people who are voting now, who are that young, are nowhere near the level of independence that people were in prior generations. Like the equivalent for us would be like 28 or something, or 24 the very earliest. Did you see it snow today? I did see it snow today. USA 2. Yes, very true. A while ago, John said I had a 10,000 IQ, and that was the largest confidence booster I ever received. I don't throw that around. So if I said it, it's probably true. John literally went on a rant saying how much he loves black people. Don't go calling him nerds. Yeah, it's true. I do love black people. What about the fact that we would be required to be in the military before we could vote? That we would be required to be in the military before we could vote. If we raise the voting age, I think you're referring to, then yeah, that's fine. Like if you're in the military, you should be able to vote regardless of your age. But I'm talking about, like, obviously there's a huge difference in, I would say, intelligence, patriotism, civic knowledge, all sorts of different factors for a person who's in the military versus a person who just got out of high school. And then they also have more of a stake in it since their life is directly affected by the policies that are being voted for. What's the hat, JD? Oh, it's just a Vineyard Vines hat. I stole this from Proxy Cameraman Matrix. He went to college, so me and Cameraman Badan went into his room and we were taking all of his stuff, and Cameraman Badan found the Vines hat. I was like, bro, I'll trade you Patrick's Proxy Cameraman Matrix TV for it. He was like, okay. So that's what we did. Why does Russia hate gay people? Because they're largely Orthodox Christian. What's the square root of 3? Oh, boy. Thoughts on the ongoing ice age of sorts? I don't really have any. Just brushed past me being VP. Okay, look, I don't know if I want a female vice president, okay? I don't want to be John McCain. I don't want to pander. John, have you heard the theory that races are designed for their original continents? What do you think of that? I would imagine it would be the other way around. I feel like each race has adapted to their continent rather than they were designed for their continent. I feel like that makes more sense. How often do you get recognized? It depends on where I am. In public, not that often, but if I'm at a political event, then it's very often. John, do you believe in Darwinian evolution? No. I mean, I think that you can capture certain fields of evolution, like evolutionary psychology, for example, provides a lot of really good data that we can use to just prove that reality is something that exists and not everything is in fact a social construct. Coronavirus, excuse me. But no, I mean, there's even evidence to suggest that even now what we know about the structure of human genetics, that it's so complex at such minuscule levels that evolution could not have accounted for that level of complexity. There's actually a pretty substantial scientific case in favor of intelligent design, which no one really talks about, which I think is interesting, because a lot of people think that it's basically science versus faith, which I guess is true in some aspects, but there's even things that would be regarded as empirical evidence for the faith-based arguments. So I disagree with your idea of raising the voting age. It violates the 26th Amendment. Okay, so we change the amendment, then it doesn't. Problem solved. It's unconstitutional, so change the Constitution. Oh, but they could do that for guns too. No, they can't, because we'll shoot them. It's not that hard. Okay, that's a bit of a joke. The point being, it violates the 26th Amendment. Okay, so that amendment was passed in 1970 something? So we just change it. It's not like it was something that was debated by the founding fathers. This is something that was very recent given the context of the country at the time. It's who cares? Just change the amendment. Russia doesn't hate homosexuals. They just banned exposing under 18s to the lifestyle. Yeah, I don't know if they actually do that in Russia. I think he said that they throw gay people off buildings. I think those are isolated incidents. Science and faith can absolutely go hand in hand. Very true. If the voting age changes, what about the draft? These are good questions. Yeah, if you get drafted, I think you should be able to vote. Well, actually, no. Do away with the draft. I don't know, man. I'm not a policymaker. That's a good question, though. Yeah, do away with the draft. Have you protested against the lockdown? No. John, quick, say something. No. I feel like I'm having deja vu right now. Very interesting. If we cut ties with China, will our economy suffer? Will more Americans get jobs and the economy boom like in the 40s? We cut ties with China, our economy is not going to suffer. And even if it does, it's like relative to what? The reason our economy is suffering so much right now in the first place is because of China. Not only because of what they did, but because of the degree to which we've outsourced our manufacturing and our supply lines to China. It's like, okay, we don't have jobs right now. Why is that? Well, because we don't have factories. Like, okay, we cut ties with China. If we cut ties with China completely, the degree to which the virus would have spread in the first place would have been like not even comparable. That aside, dealing with it would have been much easier and would have been much less crippling to the economy because our supply lines and our infrastructure and manufacturing still would have been centralized in the United States. Now it's not the case. What's the difference? Oh, well, we go to buy a TV, we want to pay $300 instead of $330. But at what cost? At what cost? China is toxic. China wants to dominate the world. They are racist. They view themselves to be the superior people. They resent the West for what they name the century of humiliation. We absolutely should treat China as an enemy. I don't understand why we do business there. We're no longer producers. We're just consumers. I mentioned this in the last video I posted. It's time to be producers again. I'm so tired of these economic arguments about efficiency, comparative advantage. First of all, comparative advantage is not actually true. I think that theory was first written in like the 1800s. Comparative advantage is basically in the context of total free trade. And let me be clear, free trade does not equal free markets. I'm not critiquing free trade. This does not mean that we are critiquing free markets. Just because we have a problem with free trade, international free trade does not mean that we're going to be upset if someone opens up a lemonade stand in their front yard. Comparative advantage in free trade is basically the science of finding the most efficient way of destroying the country. This is why Donald Trump won in 2016, because of immigration and because of protectionism. Both things that have affected the social fabric and the economy of the country in a negative way. These are things that orthodox, neoconservative economics did not take into account. So Donald Trump had to come along. This is why he resonates not only with the true conservative populist base, but also many Democrats. The poll that went around in 2016 was like 18% of Democrats are going to vote for Trump. This manifests all over the political spectrum. Not all people that vote Democrat are fundamentally leftist ideologues. It's just that the Democratic Party used to be the party of the working class. Now they've switched that in favor of sort of this, instead of class politics, this more like racial and gender-based type of politics. So, during World War II, the voting age was 21, but the draft is 18 and no one complained. Yeah, that's a good point. Nice Chad hat, thank you. Maybe it's the hash. I'm not like I don't know. That's my thinking cap. Do you find it concerning that an Australian university is about to expel a student for supporting Free Hong Kong? Yes, I do find that concerning, but it's Australia. No, my favorite economist said that we have to be dependent on hostile foreign nations forever. Oh, no. True, very true. Yeah, I guess, so that's the thing. It's like people kind of default to these very, very basic economic arguments. Like, what is the point of that? I understand that we have to be a prosperous and a flourishing country, but it's like, given our economic level 3 months ago, before the Chinese virus and everything, it's like, do we really need that to continue growing forever? Like, is that, if we don't continue achieving 4% GDP, then the country's going to collapse? It's like, that's not true. That's not true. And this isn't to say that we shouldn't prioritize the economy, because obviously the economy affects everybody. But when you prioritize the economy and the GDP, and then as a result, it guts out towns, and it lowers the quality of life of the people in the country, and it incentivizes like negative things to affect that, and then it keeps our supply lines and everything, as we've said, dependent on hostile foreign nations. So then if something bad happens, our economy literally explodes, or rather implodes, like we've seen right now. And for what? So you could pay like 10% less for LCD televisions, so you could like pay $30 less for an iPhone? Like for what? And that's the other thing too, because now we're not, as you know, I already said this, we're not producers anymore, we're consumers. Our trade deficit, as Donald Trump campaigned on. John, are you slightly nervous about what's going to happen militarily, politically, economically between us and China, especially after the pinning of the blame on China? Honestly, right now, at this moment in time, I'm so annoyed with everything. I'm just kind of apathetic. I'm very just, sad. Whatever happens, happens. Maybe if I get into a bit of a better mood, I'll have a more decisive take on the issue, I suppose. I was called racist because I told some leftists that I think America should depend on its own production instead of another country because of what happened to our economy when China went down. Yeah, I believe it. But John, I could pay a Chinese kid 2 cents to make my shoes. Yeah. Well, I'm from the Midwest, and I've seen what that sort of outsourcing can do to a community. And I guess it could make sense. Like, if you want to read, if you want to read, like, a Henry Hazlitt book that was written in 1930, before technology happened, and before the sort of, like, real free trade happened, I can understand how that sort of, like, abstract economic theory could make sense in practice, where it's like, oh, well, the inefficient producers will be replaced by the efficient producers. It's like, okay, yeah, doing what? Now the jobs that we are creating are jobs that require a large degree of intelligence and skill and expertise and technological access, and the jobs that we are destroying are the manufacturing jobs and the labor-based jobs. And whether or not you accept this research or not, people with lower intelligence levels can't do the complex jobs that we are creating. Meanwhile, we are importing people from countries where the average IQ is sub 90. And you might want to argue that that's an environmental cause. Maybe it is. The research disagrees, but maybe it is. Bottom line is, if these people are coming in and depressing the average intelligence level of the country, and the jobs that can be done at that intelligence level are becoming increasingly scarce, it's like, at what point are we going to prioritize the American people? And if you only look at it through the lens of economics, you might say, well, they'll have to go get training. Well, they'll have to compete with the foreign labor so that we can have the most efficient. It's like, I don't care. I really don't care. I don't care. I don't care if my neighbor has an IQ of 85 and he's going to be bested by an Honduran migrant with an IQ of 86. I care about my neighbor. Like, if you have no sense of community, what's the point of having a country? Hey John, I think you'd be interested in the Foundation for Economic Education. Their videos on the shutdown were very epic. Okay, well, I will check that out. Why all the shrimp? That is still not clear to me. John, I like your long hair. Well, thank you. John, I got an A+ on my free Hong Kong paper. Well, hey, look at you. I'm actually a little bit surprised because typically teachers don't really like that too much. Yo, Chad Nolan in the chat. True. Opinion on James Alsop. I still have no idea who that is. Everyone asks me about that, and I always mean to look that person up. Should we do it right now? Let's look up James Alsop. We will go on the Heckoff Commie supercomputer, the HOC supercomputer. We will look up who that person is. What's his name? James Alsop. Let's look that up. James Orion Alsop is an American far-right political commentator, podcaster, and former YouTube personality. He's been described as a white supremacist. Haven't we all? I don't know. I don't know who this person is. Oh, he was at the Unite the Right rally. Yeah. That probably wasn't a good idea on his part. All right. Where are we at? How long have we been going? What time is it? 8:08. Okay, so we got 25 minutes left. I don't know much about how inflation works, but if we centralize manufacturing for our own goods in America, will inflation rates go down? Please educate me. I don't think they'll be affected substantially. If anything, I think it'll be better. Not everyone has a high IQ. Very true. That burp was very gentlemanlike of you. Well, yeah, we got to maintain a bit of class on the live streams. John, opinions on the, what is that? The Strausser XR7 355 V6 100cc seated lawnmower. Honestly, I don't really know if I want to comment on that. I don't want to get blacklisted. It's a bit of a controversial topic. Outsourcing was terrible for the UK. Cities have been decimated. Yes, very true. Yeah, outsourcing is just... I understand the arguments for it. I understand them very well. I just don't think that we're prioritizing the right things. And on the net, if you take everything into account for like a cost-benefit analysis, like it just does not make sense. And by the way, that's another thing. Never trust an economist. Never trust an economist. Economists are dumb. I don't know where I'm going to go from there because everyone's going to be like, no, they're not. They're economists. Economists are literally dumb. I'm smarter than every economist, and so are you. Here's literally what happens. Here's the job of an economist. An economist goes and they work for a think tank, and then they wait for the think tank to tell them what to rationalize. So the think tanks get paid by big business who wants to lobby for things like cheap labor. So then the economist gets a memo. Hey, I need you to write some paper on why immigration actually helps the economy. So then the economist writes out this very complex thing with a lot of complex math and numbers that could not be understood by the average individual, and those get passed to lobbyists and policymakers, and here, this is actually the correct economic solution. And it's like, complex math does not make good policy. Economists are bought and paid for just like everybody else. So do not trust economists just because they are economists. Can you do an episode on how you practice your faith in everyday life? Probably not, because people would be like, oh, he's bringing religion into it. I might do one and put one on the website. What's your favorite flavor of sock? I don't know. What does shrimp mean? No one knows. No one knows. Opinion on the CSA. You mean like CSA, like the South will rise again? Will you ever check out the shrimp? No, you guys are a cult. Who's the poster on your wall? Oh, that's Tom DeLonge. John, I literally explained it to you last time. I have so much info. Do you understand how much information I consume every day? I don't have time to remember these inconsequential cultist group chats. We literally explained it to you, John. Okay, you guys are banned. I'm gonna suppress the free speech of the shrimp chat. Literally for no reason. My mom asked why you were talking so slow. I told her it's because you were live streaming. Yeah, I'm live streaming. I'm in a bad mood. I'm tired. I'm stressed out. That's where we are. That's where we are. John, make sure to wish a happy birthday. I literally danced to happy birthday earlier, so I don't know what this is about. John, if you don't follow me, I'm going to cut your face off and wear it like a mask. Please do. Do me the favor. John, the two birthday girls are in the shrimp chat. I know, that's why we're here. That's why we're doing a live stream in the first place. Don't tell me how to do my job. Don't tell me how to do my job. Why are you sad today? Who said that? Oh, I'm sad because, you know why. Because she never texted me back. I never texted her. Wait a minute, how did that story go? I texted her, she texted me. Something happened. We didn't end up going to the concert together. That's why I'm sad. Never got over it. Oof, don't die. Yeah, I'll try not to. What is your favorite pie? Apple? What do I look like, a communist? Going into economics because I want to help present empirical evidence for people. SMH. Yeah, I mean, you can. The problem is that empiricism can basically be obfuscated into anything that you want it to. Like, empiricism gathered objectively still goes through the filter of the person gathering it. Maybe their agenda is impartial, but what we're seeing now is largely partial to one side of the aisle. So that's the point I was trying to make. Not that like economics in itself is like impossible to know. No, it actually, we can know it very well. and as this sort of like postmodern intellectual tradition has taken foot, that is when we started actually critiquing economics in the sense that like, oh, well, we don't really know if that works. Like economic critique started happening with regards to free market economics and capitalism and whatnot. So, yeah, economics in itself is. Communists don't have pie because they have about as much food as Nigeria. Very true. They don't have time or the resources. What are your thoughts on people that say it's hypocritical to be pro-life and to want to open the economy? What does that even mean? You can't be pro-life and want to open the economy. Oh, because everyone's going to get sick and die? Okay, well, stay inside. That's my position. Babies can't choose whether or not they're aborted. You can choose whether or not you go outside and risk the like 0.1% fatality or mortality rate. John, will you review Netflix's Space Force? But then I have to get a Netflix subscription. That's not something I want to do. Crowder cross-dresses very change he can. What? Tips on finding a conservative, faithful girl? I don't know. If I knew, I would be the first. I would be on the rooftops announcing it to the world. Hey, it's going to be okay. And then you'd stop the lawnmower. Really? It's going to be okay? I don't know. We're not all going to make it, frankly. Like, I know this isn't what you want to hear right now. I'm not in an optimistic mood. Some of us, many of your friends are not going to have families. It's the unfortunate reality of the situation. Many kids that I know, I have come to terms with the fact that they might not have families. It's probable that they will not have families. The sad reality of this generation of men. It's not completely our fault. I would argue that previous generations are largely to blame, but it's a lot of it's just the environment has changed, and it doesn't really facilitate sort of traditional family building dynamics as well. So I guess I would say if you want to find like a traditional conservative girl, you have to go to church. And you shouldn't be going to church for that purpose, but that's where you're going to find them. Join the youth group or whatever. It's the last holdout. It's all, I mean, even the girls now that you talk to that are like conservative, if you really talked, I don't know if you're talking about like conservative in the sense that like you don't want her to think that socialism's epic, but like conservative in the traditional sense, like the traditional conservative role of women, like if that is what you're looking for a life partner, you talk to a lot of girls that claim to be conservative and you find out very quickly that they're not actually conservative. Don't be sad, John. I'm not sad, I'm just like stressed out. Everyone's gonna laugh at me. I spent like my entire life talking about families and then I don't have a family. Everyone's gonna laugh at me, but no, I'll be fine. I have a lot of wife applications and those things that girls throw at me. So, yeah, go to church. That's what I'm going to do. I mentioned this earlier. When I decide that I want a wife, I'm just going to I'm going to post something and be like, hey, send me a picture of you. Send me like one picture of yourself, your SAT score, and then I need to have a 5-minute phone conversation with your father. And that's going to give me everything I need to know. Bro, the guys are an issue too. Yeah, I agree. I seriously believe that the state of the modern woman is the fault of the state of the modern man. I think that if and when men get their act together, nature will take over and women will resume their traditional role in society. Which is why, a lot of people are like, oh, John, MGTOW, men go their own way. You did a video about simps, but not about thoughts. I think that really it comes down to men. We built the society. We allowed it to slip. It's time to get it back on track. And that's not to say, a lot of times I talk about this and it sounds very, chauvinistic and patriarchal. I'm not saying that men are better than women. I'm just acknowledging that we have roles in society. And I think that man's role is to provide for and cherish women. And women's role is to raise the next generation of children and to be homemakers. One is not better than the other. They need each other to exist. I'm very happily married. Good for you. Age makes people more conservative. Broke. My bad. Remember, boy. Like social gatherings with young people, because all I see is a bunch of people who don't get it. Like, I just look around, I see all these people and they've got their vapes and they're like dancing and they're like grinding on each other, and it's just so degenerate and hedonistic. And all I can think in the back of my mind is that statistic about how, like, in 30 years the median age in this country is going to be like 50, and how like the fertility rate is below replacement. And this is like all I'm thinking about. And then meanwhile you're there like, can you get me some punch? Do you want to dance? They're going to play the wobble. And I'm just like, I'm not having fun, and it's not your fault. So I don't think that you would have a good time. Get a nice conservative Jewish girl. No thanks. You've made videos about slut shaming, though. That is true. That is true. Sluts ought to be shamed. TBH. My ex-girlfriend saw that video when she was on like a camping trip or something. One of her friends was listening to it, and she just heard my voice and got mad. I thought that was a very funny story. School dances are horrible. Yeah. Yeah, big agree. Big agree. They don't get it. They literally don't. Yeah, they're going to play the wobble, and then I'm just going to, like... And that's, like... I could never really explain this to people. It's really just a matter of whether or not you get it. And I don't know if you guys saw the video that I posted, but like everybody that like isn't aware of this stuff, we are literally, and this isn't like BS politician rhetoric, political rhetoric about everyone has to fight for America. This is like literally, if you trust me for whatever reason, maybe you do, maybe you don't. If you trust me when I tell you that we need everybody who knows about this to live the best and most efficient and productive and moral life that they can. Because if they don't, like, it's wraps. And I just posted an exclusive video on the website talking about this. We will know by 2030 whether or not it's wraps. Start talking about America too. We will know within the next 10 to 15 years how bad things really are. And because of that, if you get it and you know these things, but you kind of are just like, whatever, someone else will take care of it. No, they won't. Previous generations did not. So now we have to. People that are alive right now have to. We have to have our A game, because otherwise we will not have a country. I can guarantee you that. We will have to start thinking about post-America. We will have to start thinking about America 2, which is going to be epic, I'm sure, but this isn't something I want to do. You know, I like America. I like America 1, America 1.0. You know? So, yeah, but going to dances, I never liked dances for that reason. Because it was just like, it just no appeal to me. And that's why, like, we used to have Sadie's dances. And maybe this was mean. Maybe the girls aren't going to like this. But the Sadie's dance is where the girls ask the guys. And I told every girl that I talked to, like, no, I don't want to go. Beforehand, I, like, preemptively struck. Like, because, you know, you go through school and you've always got, like, a little group of girls that you talk to. And every girl, you know, would like, hey, you know, are you excited for Sadie's? Or, hey, if so-and-so asked you to Sadie's, would you say yes? Nope, not excited, don't want to go. I was like almost like callous about it. Like I remember saying like, yeah, I'm not excited for it. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to say no to any girl that asks me. So coincidentally, I only was asked a couple of times. And so I didn't have to go that many times. So, oh, I lost it. One of your exes DM'd me. No, they didn't. Are you serious? John Doyle meme page. I need you to explain that one to me, because this is either going to be really cringe or really like not that much cringe. Please DM me about that. School dances remind me of the Women's March. Yeah. What's the statistic about the median age? I forgot how many years it is, but very alarmingly soon, the median age in this country is going to be 50. How do we get the unknowing to get it? A lot of it seems inherent. Yeah, honestly, I agree. I wish there was a way to like really like snap people into it, but I can never really see a point in my life where I like wasn't really aware of these sort of trends and these like tendencies. And that's not to say like, oh, I'm gifted, I am smarter than these other people. It's just to say like, for whatever reason, I've always been, kind of understanding these things. And I think a lot of you can probably relate to that. So I really don't know. I mean, the whole reason I have the YouTube channel is to try and like get people kind of on the same page that we're on. And it's been pretty successful, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. When the money's tight, John will create an OnlyFans to keep Hawk in the air. No, it's not true. I'm in high school. I don't go to any of the dances. Yeah. How is your friend doing that was going to be a slut in college? Is she okay in the head again? I haven't really talked to her recently. I would imagine that she's probably not, because young women tend to be very malleable in their positions on things if they weren't already like concrete with them. So I don't know. I would imagine not really. Why do you hit your Jesus bobblehead at the end of every episode? So it bobbles. So it's everyone thinks that like a lot of the really like fundamentalist Christians that watch, despite the fact that I can't think of any like conservative YouTuber that like talks about Christian morality as much as I do. And despite that, like a lot of Christians are like, Jesus bobblehead's offensive. Why do you hit Jesus? It's like, dude, I just want it to bobble. And there are Jesus bobbleheads that are like these caricatures of Jesus that are like, they have like a really big nose or like this big smile. That Jesus bobblehead was deliberately purchased because it's like the most accurate, like least, provocative bobblehead. It's just like a straight up statue of Jesus that just so happens to have a head that bobbles. I find that to be very uncontroversial. Is John Doyle meme page run by one of your friends? It was run by someone who was an audience member. But then they and myself have exchanged a fair amount of conversation. What if an honest Christian conservative girl wants to go to a dance with you? Is it all right to go with her? Nothing's inherently wrong with going to dances. Like going to dances, you dress up, you go and have fun. That's fine. But what tends to happen at the dances is a lot of degenerate, hedonistic, like very tribal behavior, very primitive behavior. Why is the median age going to be 50? Because people are getting older and having less children. And so our population is getting older as a result. I'm so tired of conservatives that think conservatism is just EU government. Yeah, very true. Sad to think so many of our peers could die young. Very true. Thoughts on Islam? I think Islam is better than atheism. Yeah, I don't hate Islam. I'm not one of these like, Islam's the greatest enemy of the United States. That's not true. If she believes in the Zodiac and is tatted up, she ain't the one. Very true. Very true. John, did you get a reply back from Brandy Love? No, I did not. Coward. Brandy Love. Maybe I'll do a video calling her out. Do you have any Catholic statues, pictures, or crucifixes? I think I have crucifixes and I have like rosaries and whatnot. The paleoconservatism versus neoconservatism is stupid because it's predicated on the base that conservatism is about the role of government and not about values. I think you've got it backwards. I think it is about values and not necessarily the role of government. Jesus bobblehead is based. It is based. It's incredibly based. What's your email so I can send you some emails? officialcomradedoyle@gmail.com. Women taste like dishwasher. Okay. John Doyle, Puritan. Nope, not true. That's a slur. Most Muslims aren't terrorists, but Muhammad was. John Doyle versus Johnny Sins. Yeah, I'll debate Johnny Sins. Bro, I asked the prettiest girl in my school to prom. She said yes. Then I hid in the bathroom during the slow dance because I was afraid. Bro, you blew it. The boys were counting on you. What are you doing? What happened? Oh my gosh, man. It's okay. You'll get her next time. You just need some sleep. Yeah, very true. You need some sleep. I just joined. Do you think quarantine was necessary? Maybe for a time. I think people would have self-quarantined with the way the media was hyping everything up. Can we get another charity stream, except this time play a non-boomer game? What are you, 13? I can't believe you just insulted Mario 64. Unforgivable. It was a moment of weakness, bro. All right, man. I don't know. It's a bummer. Is the new video coming out today? The video's coming out on Sunday evening. It's going to be very epic, I think. A charity stream, haha. I did a charity stream. What are you talking about? We donated like $1,000-something to Direct Relief. What do you think of the protest against the quarantine? I'm in support. I think that the quarantine is stupid. What's your email? officialcomradedoyle@gmail.com. Hey man, can you explain the rights that schools have over students? I did a whole video sort of about that. If you watch the TikTok video that I did, it's pretty long, but if you get into like the second half of it, that's when we talk about all the legal precedent and whatnot. What's your favorite Star Wars movie? Mine is Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, that movie's very like unwarrantedly disparaged. I don't know why everyone's like mad at that movie. I thought that was probably one of the better movies, definitely the best of the prequels. That's her name, John. It's a joke. Oh, my bad. Do you have Animal Crossing? No, I've never played Animal Crossing. Did you see how Ted Cruz got a haircut at the salon? Yeah, I've been thinking about driving down there just so I could get a haircut there. I thought that'd be pretty funny. That might be good content. Make a little road trip vlog with the boys. A little bit of a travel vlog with the boys. Going down to the Forbidden Salon, the Forbidden Barbershop. That might be funny. Hey, John, opinion on Trump? Opinion on Trump? Hold on. There we go. What's your email? Yeah, I answered that question like twice. You should do a movie review on Metropolis. I haven't seen it. I played Animal Crossing on the GameCube before I knew how to read. That's interesting because I used to like have a big wish list of video games on GameStop's website, and Animal Crossing was always on that list because it was on the GameCube, and that was like my main console, but I never actually got it. What's the most embarrassing thing you've done because of quarantine? I don't know. That's a good question. 1984. Yeah, something like that. All right, we're gonna call it quits in about 80 seconds. So, if in the next 80 seconds you have something you would like to share, go ahead and do that. Would you make a video on schools and the rights they have over students? Also the confiscation of their items. I already covered the first part of that. Second part, maybe. It could be interesting. I was going to do a video about public schools in general at some point. Thoughts on Chicago mayor getting a haircut? I don't want to say my thoughts on that. Let's just say that not very politically correct. John, play Lego Star Wars. That's a good idea. I'll play Lego Star Wars easily. I dare you to get a buzz cut. I was thinking about that. I was thinking about like just buzzing down. You're a mess, big guy. Okay, I'm aware. If only you knew how bad things really are, then you'd be a mess too. I'm going to cut my hair for the boys. It's just a matter of time. So, weed is cringe, true. Thank you for the appreciation. All right, boys. Catch you later. We'll see you